Good morning. This is Norma Cowie with this week's Norma Talks. Well, it's 10 days to Christmas. And if anybody knows we're involved at all in any kind of Christmas things, you know the pressure's on, which I'll come back to in a minute. December the 21st is solstice. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, I look for that time period because it's the darkest night up here. It's the longest night down in my home country of New Zealand. But the thing is, for me, it means that's when the sun begins to make its rotation back north. And so by the time we get to March, usually longer now, the evenings begin to stretch out a little bit. And by the time we get to May, it's already gorgeous. So really, it's very, how do you say it? It's like, oh, winter. It's cold. We've had more snow, everything that kind of goes on, and you're running around. But it gets me thinking a little bit about how you handle Christmas when you're by yourself, which I have done many times, or two, the actual pressure that goes on for a family. When I was young, grew up, there wasn't any superstores or any kind of, it was just your little local grocer. And throughout the year, my mother would pay to the grocer, the grocery store where she bought her vegetables. The bakery was a little different, but where you bought your vegetables and things, she put a little bit of money in it, and they kept track of this. So when it came Christmas, they would go and she would have this money that she could buy all these other things that she needed to buy for the Christmas Day dinner. Of course, we don't think like that. But I was also taught through some money learning workshops I took to make different bank accounts for things. So I also began to put money aside. I was trained that way, but to put it aside. So with the Christmas, well, it's just me now. So it's like I don't really have to do a lot of that. My kids are grown, gone. And although my son he has grown children. So it's like everyone's growing up. But you still have presents, you still have things to do. And I know when you have a young family, and especially what's gone on economically, a lot of people that had jobs that were working and don't have them anymore, or things have changed. So there's a money constraint. And how do you work with that? What do you do? Well, there's lots of ways you can figure that out, and that's not my job to say what to do. But the thing is to be aware of the pressure, because I remember even when my kids were little, the odd Christmas, the pressure of working, kids, relationship, that tempers would fray. There would be more arguments. There would be more tension. What you're going to do, who's going to do it, how's it going to work, all of those kind of things. And that is the time to remember to stay calm. And if you're into meditation, if you're into knowing how to breathe yourself into your body so that you're able to work with the pressure and keep in your mind's eye exactly how you want things to be, so that you work towards that. Now, self-care in this time of the year, I find, has been very, very important. I have spent several Christmases away from family and totally by myself. Now, the first Christmas that's happened to me, I took all my DVDs on the Star Wars saga, and I spent a day watching Star Wars. That's all I did all day. Of course, I had food. I was able to feed myself. But there was nothing, everything else. But I found it very difficult to be by myself and like not have the people around that I was used to having. I'm very lucky now that I have some very good friends, and we get together, thanks especially to one of them who takes care of a lot of things. And we have a Christmas dinner. And that really, really kind of takes that day because nothing's open. I can tell you a story not too many years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I left on a Christmas day to drive from where I live into Vancouver, which was about a 5-hour drive. And although I knew it was Christmas Day, I didn't think about how no shops are open. So I took off and I was driving and I thought, I'd like to get a coffee or something. Nothing open. Oh, okay, keep driving. I don't drink coffee. I usually have tea. But anyway. And then I thought, well, I'm getting a bit hungry. Well, I couldn't find anything open anywhere. I finally, after about 3.5 hours driving, I found one Starbucks open and I was able to get a tea and a something to eat. And then I finally get to my friend's where I was staying, who was off with her family somewhere. And I got myself settled there. And then I went, okay, I need to eat something else. I'm getting hungry. No restaurants open, nothing. I finally found, after driving around in this quite metropolitan area, a pizza place that sold pizzas by the slice. And so I grabbed 2 slices of pizza, and that was my Christmas dinner. In retrospect, I'm super glad that I have spent several times when I wasn't in a Christmas environment or a Christmas dinner environment. And because I handled that, I was just hungry. But it made me realize that how much we take for granted when we go to travel or do something, that something is going to be open and that something is going to be there. And I was just looking around my own town here with their schedules. Open till Christmas Day, closed, then opened again. And that is consistent. So you need to prepare. You need to prepare for that day when everyone is preoccupied, either with family or friends. Everything is just literally locked down and closed for that day. And I certainly can attest to that. Based on that one journey I made, it was kind of a last minute decision to leave on Christmas morning and just go. And I tell you, it was an eye opener because you often don't think of that. So anyway, self-care. How do you look after yourself? What do you do? What can you do? You bring in extra foods for yourself that give you pleasure because there's nowhere really that you're going to be able to go. If you're not going to a friend's or family's place, you're kind of stuck. So it's really about preparing and thinking. And this is what I'm talking about. If you're just by yourself and you maybe moved into a strange place, you don't know, there's no people that you can go to or you're being invited to. And so it's really about you looking after you and taking care of who you are, what you are, and where. And in the meantime, also, if you're younger and really busy with family, I used to remember Christmas dinners, and sometimes we're expanded into other family members. And I would work, get it all together. And then it would be all over. Everyone would get up from the table and leave. Well, it was good when the kids were teenagers because I would just clear the table off. But it's like you're left now with all the dishes. I remember very often every year, because we used to have Easter dinners, Christmas dinners, birthday dinners. And I would look at this table and think, oh, this is the worst part. I have to clean up. And you're going to do all the dishes and everything else. And then eventually I had a dishwasher, so that helped a lot. But we have pressure. It is a pressure time. It's the pressure outside. Yes, we get to drive around and look at the lights, and I've always loved doing that every year. We get to go in here and there. We can plan other visit. We used to do a lot of visiting on Boxing Day, I remember, and we would go visit friends, and sometimes 2 or 3 different places we would drive to and visit, which we may not have been able to do throughout the year. So there's a lot of things that go on around Christmas time. And we have 10 days. And I know often throughout the year, because I traveled a lot, is that I would look and find things and collect Christmas presents. I still have a box of certain things that I have bought and put in. I've got gifts. Then I forget to go into the box and look. So it's still sitting there for a number of years. But it's like I look around. Do I see? And because I'm not traveling like that anymore, it's like I look around, but I still, that would make a nice gift. And so I plan all year, it seems, sometimes, not all the time, to do, but I used to all year. When I traveled, I'd be looking to see what would be good for a gift, what would bring about something joy for somebody else, always thinking. And of course I usually brought myself something. I always had a new top or a new dress or a new something for me, because I realized that one has to look after oneself. One has to begin to feel the benefits of the joys of what Christmas is. Now, I didn't know I was going to talk about this today, except as usual, I quite often draw a card or a couple of cards and look and say, well, which direction do I need to go in? And there was something that was brewing inside me, because I don't have family around here, and I'm very lucky, as I've already said. I have some good friends who open up their home and allow us to come in. And she cooks a beautiful turkey, and we have a group of us enjoy ourselves for that day. But when I looked at the tarot cards this morning, and I actually pulled up three, two of them were around money. And that's when I began to think about the pressures of this time. And it's like finding inside yourself the ability to be able to handle that pressure and not succumb to it, how to cope. And especially because I've been there so many times, just be by yourself and know that everything is. I mean, I love, just from my childhood, love listening to carol singing, for instance. But, sometimes you don't feel like going by yourself to a church or somewhere where they're singing carols and listening to them. So it's like, again, what are your friends? What can you plan? And plan ahead. You've got 10 days to plan. So plan, think about what you're doing. And if you haven't got anything organized, think about it. Is there another friend? Is there someone else that would let you come in and become part of their family? Don't hesitate to ask. If they say no, well, it's no. No big. At least you know. At least you know for sure. So this this is my second to last Wednesday of the year. Now, I will say next week, I'm working on rewriting a little bit of one of my Christmas stories that I used to say and do to the metaphysical society that I belong to. And I'm just wondering, so it's like the enjoyment of this time of the year. Now, where I live, we don't usually have snow at this time of the year, but we've had snow early and we have snow. So it may be we're still going to have a white Christmas. I know friends of mine have had so much snow that we more than likely will have a white Christmas there. And I looked out my door this morning, or my window actually, and I saw that we'd had a little bit more snow last night. So white Christmas. There's and also, the Christmas movies, I forgot to mention those. There's usually a lot of Christmas movies on, and some of them old ones like White Christmas and things like that are still enjoyable, and many more new ones on some of the channels. I find there's a lot of white Christmassy love stories going on. Anyway, I want you to just look after yourselves. I want you to take care of who you are and what you are, wherever you have to go, wherever you have to do. And just remember that if you're going to be traveling, you may not find anything open. So make sure that you carry with you what you need. I wish you a wonderful 10 days up, and I'll talk to you. Well, of course, I'll be back on Monday night, and I'll be back Sunday night. No, Sunday morning with a Sunday thought. So who knows what's going to come through them. You're wishing you well. Take care of yourselves. Look after yourselves. Remember, you're important. Thank you.